be fun. So Tammy,
Okay.
you have been writing a lot of books. I mean, I'm so impressed with your whole, work collection. It's just amazing. I loved Like Vanessa. It's one of my
Thank
favorite. It was
you.
one of my favorite books. That was your debut, right? In 2018?
That was.
Yeah. So
Yep.
do you remember that? Like debuting together and it was,
Yes, I remember.
oh my
Front
God.
desk was everywhere. I loved your book too.
What has it been like for you, coming from being a debut author to now this is your you have a new YA coming out, Muted, which I'm super excited about.
Oh,
And you're going to
thanks.
be working with my editor, Amanda. I love Amanda so
Oh, I
much.
love Amanda.
She's amazing. She's wonderful. I hope she gets to watch this because it's just like a complete love fest.
Yes.
But you've also had a number of middle grade, was it like Beatrice, and then was there another book?
So, Like Vanessa was my debut middle grade.
Hmm.
And what I did, it's kind of coming of age because Vanessa was in eighth grade at the
Hmm.
start of the story. And by the end of the story, she was entering her freshman year of
Oh,
high
wow.
school. Yeah. So that I guess you would call that upper middle grade,
Upper
like
middle grade.
early
Yeah,
YA. Yeah.
there's such a need for upper middle grade right now,
Yeah,
I feel like.
it's kind of like a gray area. So what I did was I took I took the bully character from Like Vanessa, and I wanted to write a book that basically gave the bully a chance to become better.
Right.
So that one is called Becoming Beatrice,
Okay.
and they're kind of companion novels. But Becoming Beatrice is more squarely YA.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
there's some things in there that's definitely YA.
Well, so how is that? That's actually really interesting, writing from the perspective of not necessarily the most, immediately likable protagonist. Like I see this a lot with movies. We start off and we want to follow the bully or we want to follow the villain, but it's very rare to see that.
Yeah, so I come from a teaching background,
Okay.
and I have taught all types of students. I've taught the bullies and I've taught the nice kids, but honestly, I think that bullies aren't really born that way. I think
Hmm.
every bully has a story. There's some layer there that has yet to be unfolded,
Hmm.
and I wanted to give Beatrice a
Right.
chance to really reflect on things that she's done wrong and ways that she can become better.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, so I think essentially like she was a strong character. She had her reasons why she was very unlikable in Like
Really.
Vanessa. But
Okay.
I think I made her more likable in
That's
Becoming
great.
Beatrice.
That's great. So in that transformation, like what goes through your mind when you're creating a strong female character? And is it different from creating a boy character? Like are there things that you're thinking about being really aware of and, that you're deliberately putting into a character?
Basically, when I write a girl character, I always want to write a strong girl character. I think readers need that, not just female readers. Male readers need that too. All genders need to see girls being portrayed, in a strong fashion.
Mhm.
But underneath all that strength, it's important to show the different layers.
Right.
Girls can be strong, but we can be vulnerable too, and
Yeah.
we can be, we can have our fears, and there's all these different layers. So is that easy to translate onto the page? No.
So, okay, let's talk about a little bit about that because we're both known for writing layered characters. We're big character writers. How do you layer in a story when you have a complex character?
Um, so with Vanessa, I think one of the things that she did strongly, I mean, obviously she had this beautiful singing voice, so that was a strength of hers.
Hmm.
But if we're talking about writing across the entire spectrum, yes, she was a strong singer, but guess what? She was really shy. So I had to
Right.
show that too. So like in the shower and behind closed doors and in church where she really felt very comfortable. I mean, this girl was Beyonce. But like put her in front of her peers where, there could be ridicule and
Right.
eyes looking at you. It was important to show that yes, I have this strong voice, but at the same time I'm really shy to show it.
Right.
And within her family dynamics, she was also a strong character. She was the youngest in the household, but she was also like the caretaker.
Right,
You know,
right,
she
right,
cooked the meals, and she did all of the things that a mother would do,
right,
which essentially that makes her a strong character. But the flip side of that was she didn't have a mom.
right,
Her
right,
mom wasn't around. So
right,
there's that added layer to show,
right,
the back and forth of how to layer your characters. Yes, they're strong, but look at all these other things that
right.
simmer beneath.
Right. That's so fascinating. And I mean, so much of that, you know, we draw from real life. Like I definitely drew a lot from real life. Was that the same for you? Did you put
Oh, big
parts of
time.
yourself? Yeah. And how is
Big
that? I
time.
mean, how is that? A lot of people ask that question, like, how do you do that? And like, is it scary doing that?
It's scary. How I do it is I just do it, and I just bank on the fact that maybe no one in my family will read it.
It's so funny because for
I
a
just keep my
long
fingers
time,
crossed.
right? For a long time, like nobody, my family did not read Front Desk because I was worried. You know, I was worried. Like the mom in
Yeah,
the story is very layered. She's funny. She's hilarious. She's delightful, but she's also like blunt, very, very blunt. She does not mince her words, and
sounds
she's
about
kind
right.
of right, like, and she's kind of ruthless in the way that she says things to Mia that just like breaks Mia's heart. And Mia has
Yeah,
spent a lot of time putting herself back together.
of
And I remember
course.
being really worried about my mom reading it. And she didn't read the draft. She actually waited until this became an audiobook. And she finally listened to the audiobook.
Oh,
This was maybe
nice.
like a year ago. She finally listened to the audiobook, which is narrated by the wonderful Sunny Lou, who's just amazing. And I was like, Mom, what did you think? And she said, I couldn't stop listening to it. And I think you nailed the mother. I
Oh, okay. Well, see, you didn't get in trouble.
was like,
Me, on the
wow,
other hand,
that's really self-aware of you, Mom.
jury's still out on that one. So in my family, actually, every story that I write, my family is in there. My family and my really, really close friends who I consider to be family. Um, but out of all of them, I think there's maybe two or three people who actually read, from cover to cover. One being my mom.
Right.
My husband does read my stuff, but I have to read it to him. This is so sad. He's 41 years old, and I have to read him the stuff.
Yeah.
But he's a big audiobook reader. So
Right.
for
Right.
Becoming Beatrice, he's actually a character in that book.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, he's the
So what
character
was that like?
Nestor.
I
Oh,
mean,
that was hilarious.
was it? Okay.
He was so mad at me because I made him a dancer, and I made him this just like extremely layered, sensitive man. Like, men can be sensitive too. I wanted to show that
Absolutely.
side. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so I actually did the audiobook for that one myself. So
Hmm.
because I had to do the audiobook, that's how he heard the whole story.
Wow.
I read him the whole story to practice recording for the
That's
audiobook.
incredible. That's
But yeah,
incredible.
I put my family and friends in there, and it's not 100% true. I have to add extra layers in there, but listen, your family and your friends, they'll give you the best material. So I got to roll with that. Sorry,
So,
guys.
so nobody got so okay. So it's full disclaimer. If you know Tammy in real life, be careful. She's gonna put you in one of her books. My dad's
You'll
been telling
survive.
that. My dad's been telling that to everybody. He's just like, stay away from Kelly. She's gonna write you in some way.
Write you in. Yeah, I mean, you got to do it. So,
You got to do it.
and sometimes I change the names,
Mhm.
or sometimes I won't, and I'll just kindly let them know, hey, you're in my book.
That is our superpower as writers.
Yeah.
So you touched on a really good point, which is writing boys, right? And so as a woman writing boys,
Mhm.
how do you do that, right? Like I've had that experience with Jason in Front Desk, who plays a big role in Three Keys, the sequel to
Oh, I
Front
can't
Desk.
wait.
Yeah, and you know what, it's been really interesting, finding out more about Jason and uncovering all the layers to this kid who we initially thought of as this horrible kid, bully, the son of a bully,
Yeah, I
but it's
liked his
been,
character a
yeah,
lot.
so it's been really interesting. And I draw from the experience of having two boys, well, three boys if you include my husband. So
Yep.
I have two boys. They're, one is nearly 13 and one is 10. And they definitely, you know, they're very different from my daughter. It's been really fascinating to observe as a woman, to observe the male brain and how it works. But in many ways, it's also really similar. You know, like you said, they can be really sensitive and they can be really vulnerable, and we don't realize when we're hurting their feelings. I mean, Mia hurts Jason's feelings pretty big in the first book, and it's something that she has to kind of reconcile with later on.
I don't think that writing boy characters, I don't think that's any different from writing girl characters. I am a mom of a son. He's 10. I also have a 41-year-old. So I have two boys at home.
Exactly.
So I draw a lot of my inspiration, you know, from my son, quite honestly. Like I said, I was a teacher, and, you know, just, it's all about like observing their behavior. And I think it is important to let boys know that, you know what, you can be, you know, this macho, you know, presence that they always show in books, but you can also be more than that. You don't have to be this macho boy all the time. You can cry, you can laugh, you can be sensitive. It's all good.
Right. And I mean, and how much do you delve into the, you know, girl boy relationships in your stories? You know, we have middle grade, and I know in middle grade, you know, we have all our rules, like they're not supposed to kiss, and they're not supposed to do anything that is like explicit, obviously. But, you know, I remember growing up around that age, like 10, 11, and you are developing crushes on people. So how much of that do you feel like we can weave in?
Well, definitely, I mean, no, like kissing and worse, obviously, in middle grade. And I don't have any of that. I don't have any of that in Like Vanessa. Vanessa doesn't even show interest. There's one boy who kind of taunts her, but like she just taunts him back. That's as good as it gets. I'll tell you one thing, and I'm only going to say this because my son's not here. Well, actually, it's not my son. We're going to pretend I'm not talking about my son. We're talking about someone named Mistifer, not Christopher. So Mistifer takes virtual classes now that we're in this COVID pandemic, and they do these like Zoom classes. And Mistifer is 10 years old, which is right in that, you know, solid middle grade. And Mistifer asked for a little haircut before his Zoom. He has a Zoom class tomorrow. And guess what? Mommy doesn't know how to cut hair. All the barbershops are closed. Of course, Mistifer wants to look good for his Zoom meeting, but we all know what that's about.
So what'd you do?
Her name is Tessa. I'm no fool. I'm not an idiot.
What did you do?
I cut his hair.
You cut his hair? That's so
funny.
Yes.
It doesn't, I mean, it kind of looks like a mushroom, but he looks better than what he did. And here's the thing. The mom in me, of course, I mean, the mom in her, Mistifer's mom, of course is going to do that. But the writer in me was like, this is freaking hilarious. I'm going to include this in a future book.
I know.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Boys care about how they look.
Exactly. Whenever my kids do anything that's remotely funny, now they're like, can you wait, don't include that, okay?
Yeah. Mom, don't do it. But I'm totally doing it. That is my God-given parental right. That's going in a scene. Like, you needed a haircut for a Zoom meeting, that scene is mine.
Right. Now, when you're writing these characters, you know, there's a huge responsibility on us because we are contemporary writers, writing about present day, writing about the way kids are behaving. Is there like a requirement, or is there like a duty to sort of, while we're writing about what we're observing, to also kind of change the landscape a little bit?
Change the landscape.
Like, are we simply, you know, reflecting on what it means to be a girl in today's world, or are we also sort of partaking in defining what it means to be a girl in today's world and how we are supposed to act or not supposed to act?
Oh gosh, Kelly.
That's a deep question.
This is very deep. Okay, my initial reaction is I don't think that there are any placeholders on what a girl should do, how she should think,
Mm-hmm.
what she should look like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so, and as a writer, I have yet to fully explore that.
Right,
Um,
right.
I'm working on it, and I would venture to say that my YA project, I know this is middle grade chat, but my YA project that comes out next year,
Oh, we can talk
I,
about YA. We could totally talk
oh,
about YA because
thanks.
this is a teen. Yeah, we can totally
Oh,
talk
it's a
about YA.
teen. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, like I actually got a chance to write a character who's very different than any other character that I've written. Yes, she's a singer, but she's also a character who's kind of exploring herself,
Right.
exploring what does it mean to be a girl,
Yeah.
and
So tell me a little bit
what does
about that.
love look like.
Yeah.
I can't get too much into it, but I'll tell you that it's a love story. There's a love story thread in my YA, but it's not your typical boy meets girl,
Okay. Okay.
you know,
That is,
because we see lots of novels like that,
yes.
and I think society kind of breeds us to make us think that that's normal,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's the status quo, but
Yeah.
it isn't.
Yeah.
Love looks like many, many things. So it was
Absolutely. I mean, and
nice
that,
to explore that.
yeah, that's definitely the case with my YA as well, Parachutes, which has a girl who's falling in love with the wrong boy, and he
Okay,
is some,
aha, see?
yes, and he is someone who can really ruin her life if she does not tread carefully, and she has to experience all of the repercussions of that.
Yes,
But it's a juicy story. I mean, it's juicy and sexy as hell, but
nice.
it
Ooh,
is one of those
you cursed,
situations.
Kelly.
It's one of those situations where it's like, girl, don't do it,
Yeah, yeah.
don't do it.
But that's real though.
Yeah,
That's what makes it real. And I think teenagers go through that.
yeah,
They feel the full spectrum
yeah.
of love. And, as writers, what an honor it is for us to put that on the page.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And my earlier question was more just like, when I was growing up, I wasn't as brave and bold as Mia in the story in Front Desk. And so when I'm writing it now, I feel like I get to almost like be an actor, and I get to be the braver, the braver version of me. But I also feel
Good.
like there's a responsibility to create the landscape where women can do that and can do anything, and can use their
Absolutely.
voice and can say to a boy, like, you know, forget it. I don't like you anymore, get the hell out, right? And a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
times
Go
growing
away.
up,
Your breath stinks.
go
We're
away.
done.
Yeah. A lot of times growing up, that was hard. Like, you would worry about it if you
Yeah.
rejected someone too harshly, because there could be repercussions. I mean, I remember that growing up. I didn't like some boy, and then like he made my life miserable for the rest of the year because
That's
I didn't
because he
want
was in love with you.
I don't
That's
know what,
why.
yeah. And it was just like, oh my God, the repercussion, was like real. It was severe.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really interesting thing when we get to control the responses in the book, and we get to control the protagonist and the antagonist and all of that. Was it hard for you to go from writing middle grade to YA?
Yes.
What was the hardest
A little
part?
bit. I think what I struggled with, I had come from this place. So when I wrote Like Vanessa, that wasn't my first book deal, I should say.
Right.
I had written a picture book before that. So I had my picture book and I had my middle grade and everything was nice and breezy and easy. And then along comes YA and
Yeah, right?
curses
It's
and love
totally different.
interest
Yeah.
and some heavy themes that I was just like, oh, my mom is going to put me on punishment for this one. But so yeah, it was hard, but I was really lucky because my editor is kick-ass, Karen Boss at Charles Bridge. She really brought something out of me with that YA, and I'm really appreciative of that. I learned about nuance. I think that I was kind of lacking before with that. Not everything has to be explicitly stated when you're writing. I see someone's asking about dialogue. That I struggled with big time. But I think over time, with the more you read, the more you write, you learn how to really let the story unfold in dialogue, versus just like info dumping. Like dialogue will give you so many opportunities to layer your characters. And you can just, it's like a soup. You can put all kind of things, you know, feelings and emotions within the dialogue. So I think I really learned that with the YA, that, you know, that was a really big lesson for me, stepping into YA for the first time, transitioning from middle grade to YA.
Right. And definitely that's the case. I mean, I often get my editors saying, you don't have to recap for us every single thing that this girl is thinking. You know, you can just let it show in the dialogue. We had an earlier question.
Show, don't tell.
Yeah, we had an earlier question about layering, and that's something that we're both really good at, but we need to be able to explain it better. How do you layer a character? And I think that Tami explained it really well in terms of like, it is like a soup. Like you're putting a little bit of, you know, her family relationship in there. You're putting a little bit of her friendship relationship in there. You're putting a little bit of her, you know, experiences in school in there. And then you're stirring it all up. Would you say that's a good way of putting it, or is there another way?
Yes, that's exactly how you do it. You just make a soup, you throw it all in there, and you give it a try.
Yeah.
You know, and it might come out well, it might not be the best. But your editor will help you through that to help you fix it. Yeah.
If you just think about it, like all of us are so layered in our own lives, right? Like we might have stress in one space. Like right now, I'm like so stressed trying to make sure that my 3 kids do something else other than watching Netflix, and that they are eating something else other than, you know, pancake mix, which I realize has like palm oil in it. So don't go nuts like me and buy a ton.
Oh no.
So I'm really stressed and feeling like I'm failing as a mother in that space, because I'm literally just like, I don't know how to get my kids to do anything else, and I don't know how to get them to eat anything else while still maintaining my job and my sort of sanity, right? So that's one space where I feel like I'm failing. And other spaces, I feel like I'm doing really well. Like I've been able to maintain this class, you know, for 3 weeks now, which is awesome. So I feel really good about that. And that's how you layer a character. Like any character is always going to have things that they're feeling like crap about, and then other things that they're feeling amazing about, and other things that they're worried about. There might be a friend that you forgot to call back, and now she's mad at you. There might be,
I gotta bring that up.
There's just always things that are happening in our lives. There's never a moment where we're 100% happy, because that's just not how life is. Right?
Absolutely. So I want to bring up in Like Vanessa, Vanessa, the main character, her very best friend in the book is this girl, Tanisha, who, by the way, is my cousin. I used her name. She'll survive. So Tanisha is an athlete, and she's very proud of Vanessa, because Vanessa is this like in the closet singer. So Tanisha is like the one who outs Vanessa as, hey, she's this amazing singer, and you know, I think that she could be the next Miss America. Well, that really makes Vanessa very, very mad. But she's this cheerleader of a friend who pushes Vanessa to enter the school contest pageant, and little by little, you see Tanisha kind of fade in the background. I think a lot of young people can relate. When you start a new club or you join a new organization, you know, it sucks up your time, and now you have less and less time for your friends.
Right.
Oh God, someone's asking if I'm a singer. That was a long time ago.
I was going to ask you. I'm so curious.
That was a long time ago, Natty Betancourt. Anyway, so back to Tanisha, what you notice is that over the course of the story, they're talking less and less. Vanessa's not calling her as much. Tanisha's not calling her as much. And
Mm-hmm.
in comes this new friend who
Mm-hmm.
was the bully in the beginning.
Mm.
So there's a lot of ways that you can like reverse character roles.
Mm-hmm.
Beatrice was the bully in the beginning, but over the course of the story, you see where Beatrice and Vanessa become like best friends. And it's
Right.
almost like Beatrice takes Tanisha's place.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I just think that's so typical of
That's
the
so
middle school
exactly. That feels
experience.
so real, right? We've
Yeah,
all been
we've
there.
all been there. Yep.
We've all been there. We've either been the friend who like some other friend outgrows you and that feels really
Yeah.
bad, or we've
Outgrowing
been
a
the
friend
friend who's
hurts.
outgrowing somebody else, which
Yeah.
also feels really, really bad as well. So,
I've been on both ends of that,
yeah,
and it's not fun.
it's not fun. So, I
No.
mean, I think that those things are so real in our own experiences, which is why, we always say try to write from experience, at least initially, before you go off and write like completely made up worlds. I mean, you can, that's really fun too, but there's
Yeah.
something really magical about keeping it grounded in contemporary times. I mean, I was going to ask you about that. Do you feel like it's really liberating to write about the current times, or do you feel like it's we're more restrained than the fantasy writers?
Oh gosh, I think fantasy writers have it so hard. Writing is hard as it is. Hi, Kevin. My I think my friend Kevin joined. He says, "Hey, sis."
Hey, Kevin.
I used to babysit him. If that's Kevin,
Oh.
if that's the Kevin that I know, I used to babysit him. He's a grown man now, which makes me feel old. But anyway, what was the question again?
I mean, I'm saying like, do we have it easier or the fantasy writers have it
Oh,
easier?
fantasy writers. That is one realm I have yet to step into. I promised my son that I would because I do have this like fantasy-ish kind of
Oh,
story
I would love to
starring
see. I
him.
would love to see. I'm so here for this.
I'm behind. I was already supposed to be writing it. Like I'm the writer who kind of schedules out my projects.
Mm-hmm.
So, pre-COVID, I was supposed to start this story in March, finish the first draft before school ended because once summer comes, then my
Yeah,
kid is in my face all
yeah,
summer.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I need to give him my
Summer is basically
attention.
out.
Summer
Yeah.
is forget it. So, but
But
yes,
now
I
we're like
think,
year-round summer. Like this is just all one long
yep.
summer.
So
So
I do think that writing fantasy is really hard. Writing in the now might be a little easier. I don't think that lessens the difficulty of it, but at least we have something to refer to.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, for example, when I wrote Muted, because that is in the here and now, I had tons of websites and news articles that I could just, refer to for facts.
Yeah.
But when you're writing fantasy, not only are you making the stuff up, you should probably create some type. I know a lot of fantasy writers, they make their own maps.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to create
You
your own
need
Wikipedia.
everything. You need your own dictionary, your own map, because you have to remember all of these places and names. And maybe you're even making up ethnicities here.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and languages. I mean,
Right.
look at the Dothraki from Game of Thrones. Like,
Right.
there's a lot to create there. So
Right.
you really there's a lot of pre-writing that might need to take place
Yeah.
before you even write.
Yeah.
But with the here and now, you have, I would venture to say you have a lot more resources.
Yeah. But what's really cool with the fantasy writers is that they have no limits. Like they're not restrained,
Oh yeah.
at all. Like I'm writing a YA that's supposed to be set in current times and I'm like, but what about the coronavirus? It's like what do we do? What do we do? Like, do
Yeah.
we weave that in or do we not weave that in and just pretend we're like in an alternate universe where that didn't happen? I mean, it's just like,
Yeah.
and it's like, if we do weave it in, we don't even know how it ends. So how are we possibly going to weave it in? It's
Bingo. I have yet to write anything pandemic-ish within within any of my writing. And if I'm being totally honest, if I can get really real for a second, I'm not writing. Like, shout out to the writers that are waking up every day at 5 a.m. like, like nothing is even
yeah,
happening.
putting
Like
words on the page.
oh my gosh, like More
setting things
power
in
to you.
2019. They're setting it in
Yeah,
2019. There's going to be a ton of 2019 books because guys, we
probably.
don't know how to do this.
But I'm having, right now, I'm having a hard time writing. And I
Hmm.
think it's because of all of the anxiety of
Yeah.
not knowing,
Yeah.
how's this thing gonna end?
Yeah. And
For
that's
some,
something that we talked about in the last class. Daniel Jose Older, who's one of my really good friends, he was saying that writing starts with forgiveness. And
yes,
I think that this year of all years, we've got to go easy on ourselves. We've got to
I
forgive
I am. I'm
ourselves.
trying.
We cannot hold ourselves to these weird standards that, like, I don't even know who imposed on us of like 500 words a day or 1,000 words a day or these crazy limits. I mean,
Yeah,
because
I'm
the
at
whole point of
zero right
writing,
now.
right?
I'm
Like the
at
whole point of
zero.
writing is to be free and creative. So if we're
Hmm.
like constrained by these artificial limits that people keep putting on us, then it just takes the fun out of it.
Yeah,
So we have to wrap up because it's already 12:30 over here in the Bay Area, and so it's 3:30 over there. But I really want to end with that, which is that, look, both me and Tami are authors who are telling you, we're giving you permission to think about writing, but you don't necessarily have to do it every day. And writing, again, it's everything. It's planning, it's thinking, it's coming up with ideas, it's writing little questions in your phone for yourself. It's all that world building. It doesn't have to be sitting in front of a computer, punching out words like a machine. It just doesn't. It doesn't have to be
absolutely.
that way, right? And you will have
Absolutely.
that time when you feel inspired and ready, and the words are just going to flow out of you, right? But it doesn't have to be every single day of the year. And like
It doesn't.
especially this year, right?
Yeah, I'm giving myself permission to just kind of go with the flow now.
Go with the flow.
I spent a long time querying. I spent a long time even trying to set a toe in the water of this business. And I got a lot of rejections over the years. And I think lots of authors have the same story
Yeah.
where, you try and you try and you get rejected. Um, but I think I spent so many years hearing the word no that once I got my first yes, it was like a drug for me. It just, I was like, hi, I'm like, oh, I have to keep this going. So
Yeah.
I was writing like, that
I
Kermit the
know.
Frog
You're
thing.
like
That
so
was me. I was like
prolific. Oh my God.
cranking out these
You're
books and
cranking it out,
I was
girl.
it.
You're
Yeah,
killing it.
man.
Yeah.
I think I'm on like 16 or 17. I was cranking them out. But
Oh
let me
my
tell
God.
you,
Yeah.
this year, and I've only been published for 2 years.
Yeah.
This is the year that I'm going to just take it easy.
Take it
And when
easy.
when it comes, it will come. Jason Reynolds told me, he gave me permission, by the way. When I first met him, I stopped him on the street and I asked for advice.
I love
And
him. He's so
that's
great.
kind of like what I got out of that whole conversation is like, yeah, inspiration will follow you wherever you go. Always be equipped with your tools. So I always have my phone, my notebook. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
home. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But to also be kind to myself. And
Yeah.
I hope that other writers out there, even if you're not published yet, just remember just to be kind to yourself right now.
Mhm.
No, nothing that you put on the page is crap.
Yeah.
Everything is worth it. And just, hold on to that and it'll turn into your yes.
It will turn into it. It will turn. I think
Yeah.
we're both living experience, living proof of that. And I want you to thank you so much for coming on the show and
Thank you.
talking to
This was
us about your
fun.
process. It's been so much fun. I can't wait to give you a big hug again in real life. In real life, you're one of my favorite authors. You're
Thank
doing
you.
wonderful
Same.
stuff, wonderfully. You guys, please go out and buy Tami's books. They're amazing. There's a whole bunch on the market right now.
Shameless promotion here. Here
Show
we
us your
go.
books. Show us your books. There we
Boom.
go. Go out and buy this at your local indie bookstore if you can. Go out and buy Front Desk and
Yes.
Parachutes. Please buy Parachutes. It's coming out soon, and I'm really scared. So please buy this.
Don't
But thank
be.
you
You
guys.
got this. You got
I
this.
got this. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
All
Have
right.
a great rest of
Bye.
your day. Bye.